Listen to the 48 Hours podcast for shocking murder cases and compelling real-life dramas from one of television's most watched true crime shows. Go behind the scenes of each episode with award-winning CBS News correspondents and producers in Postmortem, a weekly deep dive. Listen to 48 Hours wherever you get your podcasts.
Inspired by the life of the savvy and ambitious Colombian businesswoman Griselda Blanco comes a new Netflix original limited series. Griselda tells the story of a devoted mother who, with her lethal blend of charm and relentless savagery, creates one of the most powerful cartels in history. Witness Sofia Vergara's captivating transformation into the godmother of the underworld. Griselda, now streaming only on Netflix.
Bare naked, bare naked, bare naked, ABCs.
Welcome to the Bare Naked ABCs, where three males get together and talk about a band called Bare Naked Ladies, and we do it alphabetically. And since we lost our female representation, and my name is Tracy, I guess I'll be the representative for the girls until we can get another female co-host.
Oh, will you be that girl?
I'll be that girl.
Good for you, thank you.
But joining me tonight are two other gentlemen that even a eunuch could not resist the magic of their kiss. We have Jeff and Aaron.
Hello, everyone. How's it going? I love that I'm irresistible to eunuchs.
If you have not picked up from our wonderful puns tonight, we will be discussing I'll Be That Girl. So for those of you that have not heard this song before, here is a quick snippet.
I'll be that girl, and you would be right over. If I were a field, you would be in clover.
Which is off the album of what, Aaron?
Well, unfortunately, Tracy, this one was ruined for me because when I started playing the song you sent me, VLC automatically loaded the album cover art up and showed me.
It's on the YouTube video.
Womp womp.
Mm-hmm.
I'd like to think that I would have called Stunt. It's obviously a Page tune, and maybe it has a little Duran Duran flavor in it, so I'm guessing it could be a Page/Duffy song? ? Oh, nice. Okay.
Yes, you got that. I was like, oh, he's going to be surprised. It's a Duffy Page too. No, you got it.
No,
nice.
I mean, I can hear the kind of the pop rock-ness of it. It's very much a classic kind of pop rock tune in its structure, at least. It's a very interesting song for several reasons, which I'm sure we'll get into. But yeah.
And they actually wrote this song in 1996 in Chelsea at the same time as they were writing Call and Answer.
Oh, wow. That's one of my favorites. I love Call and Answer.
You can kind of hear that, too. Yeah, it has that same feel of Call and Answer.
Definitely. Now, in the book by Paul Myers, Stephen Duffy said the first song that they wrote together, called The Girl on Christopher Street, was not good enough to make B&L's list for the second album because it was apparently not very good.
Okay.
I haven't heard this. Steven, please do this on one of your live at home concerts. I want to hear The Girl on Christopher Street so we can judge whether or not it was apparently very good. But this is a Page Duffy song off from Stunt, but not just off from Stunt. There is another version out there. There is, of course, the live version from Seattle from the Au Naturale tour, but that wasn't the big one. The big one is the demo version off Ladies Room 2, which was recorded in Steven's basement. And on this second demo, let's talk a little bit about the demo first and how it's a little bit different than the original. So the demo shows up on Ladies Room Volume 2, and it runs longer than the album version by 20 seconds, just because there's more There'll Be No Tomorrows at the end.
Well, it's also about 10 beats per minute slower, Tracy.
I was going to ask you about that, and yes, thank you. It does feel slower.
It's a half tone, a half step lower.
Lower.
As well. Yeah.
I'll be that girl.
Thank you.
Nice. Oh.
I was wondering that. I was like, I'm not going to be able to tell anyone if that's true or not, but it sounds like it's a little bit different and slower. So thank you for verifying
that. The combination of it being a half step lower and give or take, 10 BPM slower, it sounds just less energetic, especially since I listened to the album version first. So this mix is also a little muddier. It's not as bright as the album version as well. You don't have those highs in your ear as much. I prefer the album version, with the one exception being the different lyrics for the second verse. I like this version better.
I could probably just leave because you're literally saying everything I was going to say. So I'm just going to head out now, call it a day.
Great minds think alike.
So do you know who we have to thank for those changes that you just mentioned, Darren?
Duffy? Question mark?
No, friend of the podcast, Susan Rogers.
Oh, really?
Wow.
Well, that's right, because Stunt.
She was actually, when they played this for her for this album, that she's like, let's recast this song as more of a surf rocker rhythm.
She's got such great instincts.
Definitely. Because it sounds, I like the sound better off that where he picks it up just a little bit and the drums are a little different.
I'm getting flashbacks of That Thing You Do, where he starts playing the song faster on the drums, right?
But what about the lyric change, though? That has me curious then. Why the lyric change? Was that explained?
No, we're making them
because when I heard that second verse, I thought I knew it was coming, because this is one of those cases where this is a B&L song that I play over and over. It's one of my favorites. I'm already giving away my hand here, but it's I
likes this one.
I have no secrets here. I love this song, and this is one of the ones that hooked me on B&L. But so when I got to the demo second verse, because I hadn't heard that before you sent it, I did a double take because I was not.
Yeah, you were like starting to sing it with. You're like, oh wait. What?
You can see my reaction. Yeah, I was like, what is going on here? And I loved the lyrics of the second verse on this one, actually.
Yeah.
Steven liked them as well, but so this is what Steven had to say about this song in Paul Meyer's book. He said that this song was deceptively difficult to write. I thought I'd written it and thought I was finished, but when we went to record it, I realized this doesn't make any sense. So saying what you want in a 3-minute pop song is really difficult sometimes. And I love the challenge. And I love songs that have lyrics that surprise people, especially in a song that's so poppy and melodious, hinting at things such as autoerotic asphyxiation and suicide are pretty unexpected in that type of music. And so what I think he's saying there in the first part is they recorded the demo, then they get into the studio and he's like, second lyrics is not, it's saying something, but it's not saying what I want it to say. It's not clear. It's not, obvious. Let's put it right out there. And it does change. So the lyrics that are on the demo version, I will put in right here.
I feel like I'm 6 feet underground, turned on by the sound of silent screams for help that never comes.
It's a little bit different. I feel like I'm 6 feet underground, but turned on by the sound of silent strings, the hope that never comes.
I think it's I'm turned on by the sound of silent screams for hope.
I think it's
screams. Thank you. I couldn't get that word.
Yeah, I love it. I think obviously, hashtag secret goth. No, not a real secret, I guess. I was a high school goth. So perhaps it's a little bit more macabre, but I don't know. The album version sounds a little more like it's trying to be Creep by Radiohead. This seems more unique, and I like it.
Well, there are creepy dark. Yeah, there are creepy dark lyrics in the album version, definitely.
Yeah.
And,
this is not the only
right. And this one just, listening to the demo just really hammers that point home.
Yeah.
So I can see why maybe the change was meant to make the darkness a little more subtle. I mean, you're not going to miss it, I don't think. But
well, and I think when we get to the meaning of this song, I think what he's talking about in that second verse that he changes the meaning of the song into what he was trying to kind of go for in a different direction.
Is there a definite meaning to this song, though, or is it still more obscure than we think it is?
Stephen, please come on the show. We know you listen.
Oh, I think it's pretty obscure.
Because I think these lyrics brilliantly leave a lot to interpretation.
Yeah.
Oh, definitely.
Agreed.
Definitely.
But
So a couple other differences that are in the demo versus the original. I've listened to the original a lot. This we'll get to why in the future, but I've listened to the song a lot, and then I was able to break down the demo because I've heard the other one so much. I could sit there and go, "Yep, that's different. Yep, that's like I could pick it out." In the demo, there is more electric guitar. There's no banjo or acoustic guitar, and there's very minimal keys. The acoustic, and there's another difference. The acoustic guitar in the official version actually gets the electric guitar's lines and is brought more to the back as a support. And then the electric, which is Ed, is more given strumming of the chords and lightly and is slightly more up front, which brings it. The electric seems more up front, but it's very simplified, and the acoustics move to the back and becomes very much more difficult. So that's the difference. Also, in the bridge, they speed it up a little bit more, so they remove a bar of music between each of the lines in the bridge. I like they added that back in. It flows it a little bit better.
It's time to kick off your shoes, learn how to choose sadness. It's time to shake up those chains, addle your brains with madness. We've got plenty of time to grow old and die, but when last your beauty's faded, you'll be glad that I have waited for you.
Yeah, I like the bridge better on the album version. I think that little pause between the lines, the verses there, is a lot better.
Yeah, it doesn't feel like he's speeding through it. So, so those are the major differences in those two different versions. I like what they've done with it differently. But Aaron, will you do us a favor and give us a breakdown of this song?
I'd be happy to, Tracy. Let's break it down.
Break it down.
All right, so I'll Be That Girl was recorded at approximately 142 beats per minute in the key of G sharp minor for the verses. For the verses. We will come back to this. Okay, so let's see. The intro is same as the A changes, which is your verse changes. So we have G sharp minor to B to F sharp to E, which gives us a 1 minor to 3 to 7 to 6, which is kind of unusual. I like it a lot. Interesting little kind of changes. Then we go into the chorus, and here we have a key change to B major, which is the relative major of G sharp minor. So it uses all the same chords, but the tonal gravity shifts to B major being the tonic instead of, I don't know what Jeff's doing.
He's showing that he has ultimate guitar open.
I've been using ultimate guitar to learn.
He's like, he's hitting all of these.
You are hitting everything.
Jeff,
no, you're getting it.
I believe it changes to B major. So yeah, it's got the same chords, but the tonal gravity shifts with B being the center, the tonic. As such, it's a smooth change, and it really just kind of results in the song sounding brighter and more optimistic in the chorus, which we'll, I'm sure, come back to when we talk about lyrics. But then we have, so let's see, now we go to the chorus is B to E to F sharp, B to E to F sharp, B to E to F sharp. So we've got this kind of very traditional 4-5-1 progression. And then we combine, again, the shift to major and the jump up to B. It just kind of gives it this traveling feeling, like we're picking up steam when you switch to the chorus. Then we're going back to our A changes for verse 2, of course, B changes again, and then our bridge or C section where we have E, F sharp, B. Now these should recognize these chords. They're exactly the same as the chorus, but again, we're changing the order in which they're played. So it sounds quite different. And also, we're changing up our time signature a little bit here. Now, the first two chords in the bridge, E and then F sharp, they take 3 counts, and then the rhythm accenting these changes follows that kind of rhythm. But then we follow that with a full 8 counts, or what I would think of as 2 bars of 4/4 from the B chord, and then we repeat. This results, if you're following along with your abacus, in 14 beats, which is divisible by neither 3 nor 4. And although you could divide it by 7, this song is most definitely not in 7/4. So, really, I would call this kind of a quick meter change to 3/4 for the first 2 bars, which might be what we call dropping a beat before the kids took that up and ran with it for dubstep or whatever the heck you kids listen to these days. So we have 3/4, 3/4, and then we go back into 2 bars of 4/4. So it's kind of a little jarring, and then it kind of like snaps you out of what's been happening, which I think helps between that and changing where we're starting and where we're kind of ending with the changes. It makes it sound quite distinct from the chorus, even though we're using the same chords.
It's time to kick off your shoes, learn how to choose sadness. It's time to throw off those chains, addle our brains with madness.
It's got that. It feels like you're jump starting there, and then he slows it back down a little bit, and then he jump starts it again, and then backs it up a little bit again.
Yeah, and we're talking about throwing off chains and addling our brains with madness, so it's kind of thematic as well. It's kind of all over the place. Then we come back to our A changes for verse 3, which is half instrumental, and then kind of half the length of a regular verse for the vocals. Then our chorus, B changes, and then our outro. So it's essentially a classic pop rock song format of A, A, B, A, B, C, A, B. This is the bread and butter of pop songs, especially in the 20th century. But there's some interesting things going on with a key change and then a time signature kind of change up. And there's just enough here going on that it was really interesting for me to kind of analyze this, because it was not quite kind of as just your standard pop song. It was interesting ornamentations going from the root of like a pop song. And that combined with the decidedly dark lyrics contrasted against what sounds kind of like an upbeat, mostly happy song made it very, very interesting. And I liked it a lot. I really enjoyed it.
This is one of those great things that I love it when BNL does it. It's great they don't do it on every single song, but when it is non-diatonic and it is completely opposing what the sound is opposing to what the message of the song is.
The juxtaposition.
It really works so amazing.
That's one of the things I really loved about Pink Floyd. My brother introduced me to The Wall when I was in high school, and I really got into them because you'd have these like beautiful melodies with terrifying lyrics, or vice versa. And Radiohead does it too. A lot of my favorite bands do. But yeah, BNL most certainly does, especially for Page songs, in my opinion. In my experience, at least.
And a lot on this album and Maroon, like that. Yeah, this is that era where Steven's like, I'm going to really play with that. He was doing it a little bit more in the. I mean, he was doing it a little bit earlier. You get that with Old Dirty Hank and Straw Hat and Old Dirty Hank. But
and this is War on Drugs and E2E, I think, would fit into that too. But
yeah. But he loves to do it on this album. I just
gave away an album. You'll never remember that. That's a W. That'll be years from now. Never mind.
Unless you said the War on Drums, which maybe you did. Don't even tell me. I won't even go back and.
We got years.
You won't remember that. Drums. Just say no to drums.
Yeah, say no to drums. We don't need no rhythm.
I clap on 1 and 3. Thank you very much.
Now I'm looking through the stuff. G sharp minor.
Yeah,
we don't have any other songs so far in G sharp minor.
It's a little unusual.
Is that on the spreadsheet?
Theoretically, you could call this A flat minor. It's the same thing, right? But I'm calling it G sharp minor because the chorus and the bridge seem to be in B major. So because we're kind of going from B major, I figured I'd just take the relative minor, which, again, you could call it either, but we're going to call it G sharp minor.
But they don't use A minor in any of their songs anyways. Whether you go A flat or G sharp, it's not, they don't do any songs on that on that key. So it's
an unusual one. Yeah. I mean, I can tell you a lot of people have keys that they like because it's usually good for someone's vocal range. They know where they sit. They center it around there. It might be, if it's written by the keyboard player, they have a special, I loved playing in A minor because it's all white keys, I like playing A minor, E minor, B flat minor, E flat minor, C minor. There are keys that are just easier for some people to play, and it kind of varies from person to person,
right?
Instrument. But Yeah, you tend to have in any band that you look at. I remember once I was at a band rehearsal and my bass player looks over and he's like, "Wait, what key is this song in?" And I was like, "Oh, it's like E flat minor." He's like, "Oh, again." He was just busting my chops, but yeah, it was like probably he didn't like having to tune down a half step. But I got a low voice. What am I gonna do? Yeah, you develop kind of a comfort zone. So I think it's not unusual when people, especially when you're just kind of noodling around and trying to invent something, you kind of play in the scales that you're comfortable with. So it's only natural that a band sort of develops kind of this comfort zone. But yeah, it was kind of interesting to look at one of these songs that's very, very different and certainly not one of their usual keys they go to.
Yeah.
So you say we haven't stumbled across one at all thus far?
None yet so far.
How many songs have we done so far? I'm just curious.
We have done
over 100.
A to I.
Hold on one moment. I gotta unshift my keyboard here. Hold on.
Unshift my keyboard.
We have done at this point 128 songs.
Oh wow, yeah. And the first one to be in G sharp minor. Well, it is an unusual or A flat minor, but it's unusual key certainly compared to some other choices.
But it's beautiful. Like I really enjoy the way this song sounds.
Oh yeah, me too. I mean, well, I'm a sucker for minor keys in general.
Yeah.
And there is the contrast here. This song has the best of both worlds, because you've got an upbeat kind of chorus and very, very, very kind of rocky kind of bridge that are both in a major. So you get that experience, but you also get the kind of uneasy, uncertain tone of the minor in the verse sections to contrast to it. So yeah, it's got something for everybody.
So you were mentioning earlier keys. I do want to highlight Kevin is this album in general, with this being really the first Kevin album.
Yeah.
Really, Kevin is a highlight on this album. Like this is a major Kevin album.
He's gonna show off.
This song especially, he's doing accordion, banjo, and keys on this song. Everyone else is down to one instrument. He's got everything else.
Is that accordion? I could have sworn
it
that
is
was melodica.
He has it, at least in the liner notes, it's down as accordion.
Okay, I mean, I believe it. They sound very similar. It's just the accordion. I guess a lot of accordions you can mute the drone or you don't need it or whatnot. But interesting to me. I just assumed melodica when I heard it because of the way it was played. It could be maybe on the demo it's melodica. I'm not sure, but either way, interesting. Good to know. I love the accordion and I love the melodica. I have them both. I can play the melodica sort of. I can't play the accordion. It's just sitting there collecting dust. But someday.
And this is a great song as well, in that we get Steven not only being the lead, but he's also playing the acoustic. We don't get that on a lot of songs.
That doesn't happen a lot, right?
Yeah.
I bet you that's because he was noodling around with Duffy, and he was like, came up with something. He was like, "Yeah, I want to play this."
This is fun. I like this one.
Yeah.
Now, Jim isn't doing anything really spectacular in the background, but he is definitely the backbone of this song. Oh yeah, he's doing a great job of holding this song together. And so I think we need to highlight him and recognize the work he's doing in the background. It's not like he's all over the place like with Brian Wilson, but he is doing a spectacular job of just being that nice background.
This would be a fun one to isolate that, like to be able to hear exactly what he's doing, isolate his part. Because I agree with you. There's definitely a strong bass part going on here. It's just strong in the sense that it's subtle. It's holding the part. It's holding the piece together. But I would like to hear.
You can, by the way, do that. Thank you for that segue.
Yeah.
Because they actually do a lot of channels on this one. So on the left ear, we have the accordion and the electric guitar. Or actually, we have the electric guitar. On the right ear, we have the acoustic and the bass. But one of the interesting things they're doing on this song, the accordion switches up during the song from one ear to the other. It's not on both ears. So when I was listening to it with one ear, I was like, okay, it's there. Wait, now it's over here, but it's not the same time. It's not on both channels. it's on different channels depending on the spot in the song. So it's really eerie. I was sitting here watching it, flipping it back and forth between channels to hear the accordion piece throughout this whole song.
Well, it's interesting to me. I used to do that kind of stuff too because I was quite enamored with obviously being going to school for audio engineering. I was very much keen to kind of flex my muscles and kind of play around with what I could do with that. So I think every audio engineering student at some point produces something which is kind of like the early Beatles stereo albums where they just go nuts and have everything in like completely one side or the other. Because like, wow, we can do it in stereo now. And it's like, okay, they hadn't quite mastered the subtlety of the art of stereo placement yet. So I certainly know I made more than a few of those. But yeah, I especially with digital, you get into things where you can track, like it goes from one ear and you can actually control how loud it is on one ear and how loud it is on the other and kind of go back and forth and make it go in wave patterns and stuff. It's really interesting. And I always, same, Tracy. When I hear something like that, it sticks out to me and I'm like, oh yeah, I bet someone was having fun in the studio or someone got bored listening to it, 100 times because that's what you do when you're mixing a song. So they started playing around with the stereo placement of the accordion.
So
I just want to say, every time someone does something like that, in my mind, I know this is not what they did, but I love to picture an Omni microphone in the studio and someone running around the studio, and they're literally in different places when they're playing, and that's why it sounds all over the map.
Kevin is all over the studio, literally.
Explore the studio space with the cowbell.
Kevin is running around the studio playing the accordion.
I would love that. That'd be great. If that's true, Kevin, please come on and tell us if that was true.
I would love to hear if that was true. So I do have one more music note. Do you guys have any other things that you would like to say on the music before we get to the meaning of the song? I would like
Jeff to speak because I've been speaking a lot, so I want to hear Jeff.
I have a lot to say about the lyrics, so
Fair enough.
So you won't give me to shut up on the lyrics, but no music.
Let me give one more thing on the music then.
Oh, sure.
And then we'll go over to the thing that Jeff is biting at the bit for here. I was listening to it for like the 100th time this week. Not kidding you. And there is a strumming change I never picked up on before during the chorus. So you have with the electric this very, he's hitting those chords. It's a very slow strumming. He gets to the chorus and there's this gorgeous driving strumming. I'll put a piece of it right here.
Around my neck, I'll be that girl, you would be right over.
Which I just love.
I wonder if that's to segue to the lyrics. I wonder if that is programmatic at all because my interpretation of this, and I'll just kind of give it and then back away slowly and you guys talk about it for the next half hour. My interpretation of this is it's like a guy or a girl, I guess could be, right, who's basically experiencing unrequited love or at least unbalanced love, right? Mm-hmm. We've all been in those, well, not all of us, but, I think a lot of us have been in relationships where you in your heart you don't quite love them as much as they love you, as much as you would want to give them that, or you sense from them that maybe they don't care about you quite as much as you care about them. That's not a good feeling for anyone, and it's unfortunate, but it is a fact of life that people have to deal with. Yep. So my interpretation of this was he's kind of going back and forth in his head, of like, these kind of, we have suicidal ideation, we have
homicidal ideation,
we have implied autoerotic asphyxiation. So it kind of goes back and forth with kind of darker thoughts and more optimistic thoughts. But the optimistic thoughts, even those are kind of couched in, this is what I would do if I were someone like you and I could get your attention. So what I want to know from you, Tracy, and then I'll just kick this, I'll just tee it up and you can kick it. Do you think the subject of this song is perceived to be by the narrator of the song, whether that's accurate or not? Okay. Would you say it's fair to think that the narrator is perceiving the subject that he is singing about to be narcissistic?
So I would say I believe so. I think that having listened to it, I can't even name the number of times. this song, I think what he's really trying to say, that people have had a number of different interpretations of what this song means, and it is and means.
And some of them are crazy, by the way.
And some of them are crazy. But at the same time, I could see where they might get that. So people who talked about very much along the lines of what you were saying, Aaron, but then they asked, so like, well, was that because she's too beautiful? Is that because, and out of his league, is it because she's gay? And so she loves, this other woman.
Yeah, I could see a Chasing Amy kind of story coming out of this.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Is it because he's in love with a man who's heterosexual?
Who's straight, right.
And so he's like, I'll be that girl. Is it because she's too self-absorbed and narcissistic and loving herself? Literally going back to the story of Narcissus, and self-absorption and really loving to look at herself, and that's why he says, I would have to be just like you for you to love me.
The second verse kind of really sells that point.
Well, and that's one of the things I wanted to bring up is like the original words didn't get at that. It didn't bring home
that was the part that changed.
Right. And he's like, I really want to drive this home. I really want to make this obvious to people. And so when I looked at like, okay, well, what is he trying to say with this song? That's where I honed in on, because that was the change he made to make it obvious. And yeah, at that point, he's making it obvious. Like, yeah, this is a very narcissistic person who loves themselves, or at least in the narrator's point of view, loves themselves so much that the only way that he can get them to love him is to be that girl.
No, I'm in agreement with that. This one's always been a song that I've absolutely loved. It's one of my favorites, and I didn't talk a whole lot about the musical aspect of it, but I like songs that feel upbeat and bouncy and really aren't, and I think this falls into that category. Aaron mentioned a bunch of them. I'm also a big Pink Floyd The Wall fan, and there's songs like that. Comfortably Numb. It feels fun at times, even though it's not.
Yeah.
It's not a fun song, and I like when art makes you feel uncomfortable. I think that's what art should do at times.
Definitely.
Pumped Up Kicks is another good version.
Oh my god!
It's a very bouncy, upbeat song about a dark subject.
Very.
I Don't Like Mondays, which, by the way, I mentioned a few weeks ago, and they had not heard that song. Aaron, please tell me you've heard I Don't Like Mondays.
I don't think so.
Really?
Who did I Don't Like Mondays?
The Boondock Saints.
The Boondock Saints? That was a movie.
No, not the Boondock Saints. The Boomtown Rats. Boomtown Rats. I'm sorry.
Oh, okay, yeah.
So the Boomtown Rats,
Bob Norman Reedus.
Bob Geldof.
Oh, okay. Well, that makes sense. That's why you brought it up.
Yeah.
And if you haven't heard that before, go back and listen to that episode. I have pasted that.
I'm to my shame, mostly familiar with Geldof through his artwork, his visual artwork, as well as his
portrayal on the wall,
his Live Aid.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. Oh yeah, he was also he
was
also
in the wall
played.
Movie. He played.
He shaved off his nipples.
Yes. he plays Pink in The Wall. Yeah. But he did a song with the Boomtown Rats called "I Don't Like Mondays," and it was essentially
I'll have to listen to it.
It was about a school shooter that in the early '80s, who a young teenage girl who stayed home from school one day. She had a rifle from her dad, and she fired on, I believe, an elementary school. And when asked why she did it, her response was, "I don't like Mondays." And Geldof wrote this insanely bouncy song. I keep telling people, if you have not heard it, you need to go listen to this song.
Sounds right up my alley.
Yes, I was going to say, that sounds like a song you would have written, Aaron.
Right, yes.
Wow.
And it's,
I don't know how to take that.
That's a compliment.
Okay.
And, well, it's like great minds kind of thing, because that's actually one song that I want to learn to play, guitar-wise. But it feels more fun than it is. The Police, Don't Stand So Close to Me.
Don't Stand So Close to Me,
Yes, the original version of that, I know they redid it to make it sound darker, but the original version was,
Boppy.
Was Boppy. It was, Don't Stand So. So this, to me, falls in that category. It's got that beach feel, but it's a dark song. I always gravitated towards the idea that, was one of the ones mentioned, that it's about someone who's in love with somebody else who's very narcissistic, who's very full of himself. And the line that always sold that for me, now that we know there was a demo where it changed, was perhaps as you, I'll be worth noticing. I'll be that girl. The only way for you to love me is if I were you. Which I always like that whole mirror image aspect of the song. The tricky part of the song for me is the dark imagery.
It's not dark at all. What are you talking
all
about?
the things I would do to make my face turn blue. I suppose I would start by removing all my clothes, tie my pantyhose around my neck.
So that brings us to the autoerotic
asphyxiation possibility. And also,
so
one of my favorite lines
is autoerotic asphyxiation, or does he think that she is? Because he's talking about all these things that he would do if he were her in order to basically.
I think the writer of the song is wrong. I'm kidding.
I mean, I think he's being facetious, but we also have a lot more of that in the part that was cut out. Sorry, my computer is doing weird things to me right now. Not an autoerotic type stuff, but that's a different type of autoerotic.
Yeah, please close those tabs, Tracy.
Yeah.
We're trying to do a show here. Come on.
iCloud keeps wanting to open itself back up. I'm like, just shrunk down so I can see everyone. Anyways, I totally lost where I was on that now. But
you were talking about autoerotic asphyxiation. Asphyxiation. I couldn't say it either.
Well, you had to fill in for Stefan since he's not here.
Asphyxiation. Yes, you were talking about autoerotic asphyxiation.
But I think that he's just trying to make a point there. But with that lyric that he took away, it's where he's 6 feet underground, like dying, like death, and the silence screams the hope that never comes. Like, he is extremely dark in that.
Right, and which line of the chorus did that follow, though? And if I had a gun, there'd be no tomorrow.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I made a note of that at the most uplifting point in the song, which is the chorus, we end on that line. If I had a gun, there'd be no tomorrow. So, I mean, to me, that was the first time that he's saying that. I was like, oh, okay, this is what we're doing. It's very, very interesting, very, very, and like you said, Jeff, there's, on the face of it, that might seem very straightforward, but because we're not sure if he's talking about himself or herself, or the narrator is, or themselves as the object of their affection, so in that case, that's not really them killing themselves, that's them saying they wish the other person would kill themselves. So,
that line is tricky. That last line of the chorus is really sneaky.
But catchy.
And very catchy.
It is catchy.
Because it's funny, because the lines up to that, are really interesting. So let me pull up the chorus here.
But great, I'll be that girl, and you would be right over. If I were a field, you'd be in clover. If I were the sun, you would be in shadow. So it's like he's referencing that I'm above you, or I'm covering you, or I'm greater than you. Like, if I were the sun, you would be. Like, that's how I heard that in some way. Like,
I took that totally different. So when I hear him say, if I were the field, you would be in clover, I would make your life comfortable. I would be your luck charm. I would be I would make your life special. If I were the sun, you would be in shadow. Not that I'm overshadowing you, but I would make sure you're in shadow. You're comfortable. You're not out in the heat. I'm not radiating on you.
Okay.
Is that how you took? Yeah,
that's how I took that. I took those lines as darker too, though. Like,
okay, well, you first, Jeff. How does you?
Yeah, please.
Well, no, in a sense, how do I interpret that? I don't know, but I like when the line. I'll be that girl, you'll be right over. It sounds like he's trying to be someone he's not. If I'll be that girl, you'll be right over. You'll come to me. If I were a field, you would be in clover. If I were the sun, you would be in shadow. It's hard. I feel like the lines are darker than in some way, in the sense that he wants to be better than he is. Like, we have a guy here that is in some ways depressed, or doesn't feel like he's good enough.
Oh, yeah.
Who feels like he's
the last
inferior.
line gives it away a little bit.
Yes, I want to be better than I am, and if I'm not, then one of us has to go. My wife, actually, who's not a huge BNL fan, heard me listening to this recently again, too. And this is, like I said, this is the song I hardly had to research because I play this all the time. But I was playing again and I was listening. I was like, how am I going to offer up one of my crazy 30-minute long interpretations of the song on this one? And I got to that one, and I've always heard "If I had a gun, there'd be no tomorrow" as a suicide line. She straight on said, "No, I think it's about the other person."
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, so like basically what she said is, here's a guy who wants to be with someone so bad. If I can't have you, then no one can have you.
Yeah.
Well, and so that's where I get to the homicidal piece, where I feel like he's not just suicidal. I think he's homicidal.
Right.
And that he's saying,
Yeah.
if I can't have you, no one will.
Right.
If I had a gun, there'd be no tomorrow for
Right.
either of us.
Right. So it's homicide-suicide. It's basically
Yeah.
we're both going down. This isn't working.
We're going down.
Yeah, we're both going down. I'm not good enough for you. I can't be who you want to be. I'm not the person that you're going to want to come over and see. So we're,
Which, for people who've been suicidal, it totally makes sense with the bridge as well, in that this man is talking very depressingly, very, very morbidly, but also talking positively about the future in this way, that because the future can't happen, but wishes the future could happen. Because in the bridge, we have this not mixed metaphor, but mixed emotional attach of discussion. It's time to kick off your shoes. So we have a very happy bridge. It's time to kick off your shoes.
Learn how to choose
sadness.
Throw off the chains.
And I have to say, it's one of my favorite lines.
But there again, the dysfunction of it. Yeah, but there's the dysfunction of it. We've talked a lot about Steve's songs about acceptance or settling, and there again, this feels like a... Hang on. Tracy is busy dying.
Okay,
I'm sorry. Are you okay?
Is this autoerotic asphyxiation over here?
Tracy, could you please remove the pantyhose around your neck? We're not getting that much into the song.
It's a truly understandable.
Go ahead, you were saying.
He really wants to get into the character, I think. That's a little extreme. No, but there's definitely a settling moment there. We got plenty of time to grow old and die, but when at least your beauty's faded, you'll be glad I've waited for you. So when your beauty's faded and you're not so good for me and you're not that person that everybody else wants, you'll be glad I stuck around. Like, there's definitely a feel of...
very bitter.
I'd rather be in a dysfunctional relationship than no relationship.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, I will accept you no matter who you are, how you are, but...
Right.
But at the same time, like, I will wait around forever for you.
Right.
But in a very mixed up.
You're 30 and young and hot right now, and I'm not good enough for you. But in 30 years or 40 years, you're going to be glad that I'm still here. Like, that's a cynical bridge.
Oh, yeah.
That is a happy, cynical bridge.
Oh, it is. Especially the line, it's time to throw off those chains and addle our brains with madness. Like, it's time to enjoy this time of our lives.
And let's just talk about...
We have plenty of time to grow old and die.
Right. What a beautiful rhyme scheme that is, though. Man, that bridge just kicks.
Yeah.
So the other thing, like, this song is filled with lines that I misunderstood and misheard for a long time.
We were talking about the eunuch line, aren't we? We're going for the eunuch line. I feel...
Yeah, well, we will come back to the eunuch line, but this line of addle our brains in madness for a long time I misheard. And I always heard blow out our brains in madness, because you just got done talking about the gun and killing, and so he says it so fast, like I always heard, like, and blow out our brains in madness. And I'm like, oh, very dark, but I still loved it. But I was going through a very dark phase at that time. But yeah, that line I got wrong for a long time. And then the other one I got wrong for a long time was the eunuch line, that even a eunuch won't resist the magic of a kiss from such as me. I always thought it was, and then even you cannot resist.
I did too, yes. For a long time I did, yeah, I agree.
Which goes, it still matches with that line from earlier, although I do like the eunuch line better.
I was just thinking of Varys the Spider from Game of Thrones.
So those were the two lines I got wrong for a very long time until I actually read the cover. I'm like, really?
No, for a long time I thought it was even you would not resist for that line.
Which makes sense given what he just got done saying.
Yeah.
But I do like the eunuch line.
I like the eunuch line better, actually.
Yeah.
I mean, how often do you have a line about eunuchs in a song?
I can think of one.
This one?
This one, yeah. I cannot think of any other eunuch song in any other song I've ever read. But I wish more songs would have eunuchs in them now that we're...
It's interesting because after that bridge, we go back to the third verse, but the third verse is once again this positive future of him saying, when you're done being beautiful, then you can come to me. And it's
when
very
your options
poetic.
have run out, though.
Yeah.
That's how when your options have run out, when you don't have all these other choices, you've got me.
I'm still here.
I'm still here. Yeah.
But it's really
It's
interesting.
so messed up.
Fortunately, I didn't shoot you, and
Yeah.
fortunately, I didn't strangle you. We're still good. We're now 70, and you're.
What I like about this song is it shows the darker side of love where's the line between love and obsession? This to me sounds a lot like kind of a bitter Canadian's take on "Losing My Religion" by R.E.M. Right? So
Yeah.
It's the other alt rock version of that.
Yeah.
So Stephen did have other things to say about the song that were in the Paul Myers book, as well as on the launch CD-ROM magazine. He said, I wanted to write a song about desperation and how a man would do anything to get gratification that he thought he wanted, deserved, needed. And if that meant hurting himself or inducing others to hurt themselves, that's what he would do.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of a French movie in 3 minutes, he said. He also admitted that he has never tried autoerotic asphyxiation himself. He just loves the fact that people will go to any extreme to make themselves feel. And then his statement is, feel good? Strongly? Even for a brief period of time.
We need to get Steven back on here, though, to explain that, though, because I don't see how the autoerotic asphyxiation line flows with everything else in the song. Like, I get what he's saying, but I don't see how that gels with every other lyric in the song.
Yeah, but it's just the pantyhose and make yourself turn blue.
I still always interpret that as a hanging line, though. Hanging myself pantyhose, because it's not to get dark or not to get depressing, but we knew this was going to happen with this song. But people have done that. They've hung themselves with pantyhose, and I just always felt that was a vivid description of I'm going to hang myself, or so I always took that as a suicide line. That said, I didn't write the song. He did. If he's saying that, like I said, when we talked about how an artist will throw out like mysterious. This is why I wrote the song.
Doesn't match up with what we were thinking.
Up with what we were thinking, but I also don't see how that fits with the rest. So I would love to hear his reasoning for how that flows with the rest of it.
Yeah, I do enjoy the last comment that he made, and I want to share this quote. I think the worst thing would be hanging, or actually, even to feel for a brief period of time and risk death or humiliation. I think the worst thing would be hanging and still be alive. Can you imagine someone walking in your naked genitals in hand?
Jeez.
I love you, Steve. Like, that's a really odd statement. And you went somewhere even darker than the song.
Right.
So we should go to Trouble with Tracy.
What's the trouble with Tracy? He's got problems with this song. What's the trouble with Tracy?
There's the trouble with Tracy.
The trouble with Tracy.
I'm curious, so what is your trouble with this song, Tracy?
Yeah.
My trouble this week is I don't have any trouble with this song.
Oh, all right.
And maybe that's the trouble with me is that I love this song so much. I really have
love
nothing
you the same way. Or does it just love
I
itself?
don't think it does. I think it's one-sided.
You'll be that song.
Nice.
So why don't we talk about our ratings? I think this is going to be an interesting week here. Jeff, lead us off.
I didn't want to do Unix, but I didn't get anything else.
I didn't want to do Unix. That's an easy thing to not do.
It would be a hard thing to do.
Oh, all right. We'll do Unix. Collectively, as a group, we're going to do units. So we're going to do this on a scale, just because I love that line so much. So
how many Unix do you want to do?
How many Unix are you going to give this song? I'm since Tracy and I have already kind of shown our hands on this one, I think we should start with Aaron.
Oh, really?
Yes,
okay.
Because we've kind of given a little bit too much away about how.
Way to put me on the spot then.
Sorry about that.
This is tough because
you gave me the bus. I mean,
yeah, it's true. I just we talked about Call and Answer. I really like that song a lot. There are things about this song that I like more, but I think overall, I just love the melody in that and the way that song moves, and I don't know. I can't quite rate it as high as Call and Answer. I rated Call and Answer a 4.5, but this is a really good song. There's no doubt about it. So I'm gonna go with a 4.25 Unix out of 5.
What part of the Unix?
That's a quarter of a Unix.
I'm leaving behind. This is actually Unix, the operating system. So I'm leaving behind the GUI on that last.
So a quarter Unix. So that's what you left.
That was a nice cover. That was good. You covered that Unix well.
Oh dear.
All right, I will. So I'll do mine. We'll finish. We'll wrap with Tracy. So, as I said, I love this song. It's to me a highlight on Stunt. Stunt was the second B&L album I ever bought. I bought Maroon first, and so Stunt was the second one, and this was a highlight. I didn't know at the time why I liked it. I just knew I did, and that's a good highlight for a song. And it sounds great. It sounds like a fun song. Sorry, Tracy's making me laugh now. But it obviously isn't. It's a dark song, as we talked about. I like fun songs that are dark, and I don't mind dark lyrics, and I don't mind lyrics that make me uncomfortable. I've never had an issue with that. I write those. Lyrically, this is up there with a song that we haven't covered yet off Maroon that I consider one of my favorite lyrics B&L ever did, and the musicianship, the sound of this one is so great. I love that outro. Just the "There Would Be No Tomorrow" just kind of clings there and hangs on. There would be no tomorrow. There would be no tomorrow. There would be no. Not always a fan of repeated lines, but God, I love that so much. And so I gotta go.
And they change it up too, with the notes.
Yes, they do. And I love that lingering "There'd Be No Tomorrow." It's just kind of left there. Like that's the line you're gonna go with. You're gonna stick with that line. Like,
I'm going to leave you with this thought.
We've talked about you settling eventually. Yeah. I'm willing to wait until you can accept me for me.
Because if you won't,
then this is what's going to happen. Like it's such a dark option. It's crazy.
It's said so happily.
It said so happily. I mean, this is the song of a total psychopath is singing this song. Steve, I'm sorry, but you sound like a psychopath, and I absolutely love you for it. I can't say enough good stuff. And the Call and Answer comparison, I can hear Call and Answer in my head and this song as well. Same album, and they've got that same feel. Whereas Call and Answer, almost kind of has some of the sentiments. I'll be the first to crucify you if you don't do. It's just a similar sentiment. Hard to compare them because they're both such stinking good songs. And I wasn't here for Call and Answer, so I don't really have a comparison because I have not done my homework and gone back and ranked the other ones. I got to rank this one high, though, and I've got to go... am I going to put it up there with some previous ones and some other ones we haven't talked about? No, so I'm going to go with a 4.7 Unix. I like my Unix a little longer, I guess.
Isn't that counterintuitive?
It is. And that
They're
line,
tall Unix.
That line might be cut. We'll see.
No,
Might be cut.
That is the best part of the whole show right there.
I think you're confusing a bat mitzvah with something else.
I'm used to so much having to be cut out of Stefan's episodes that
would be cut.
On this episode of the Bare Naked
I think we're a relatively uncut episode tonight. I think we're just going to be long and
I think you broke me
right out
long
there.
And hard.
Long and hard.
Long and
You
hard
broke the host.
MA-17.
Oh, we did the Jewish song last week.
Yeah, I know, right? Surely, you're not. Don't make a mountain out of a molehill.
Don't make a mountain out of a moil.
A molehill. Mm-hmm. See what I did there?
You made me lose my contacts.
Look, guys, I think we should circumvent this entire conversation.
Hold on, I gotta gather my contacts so I can actually see my notes.
I can't see without my glasses. Tracy's like right out of the Scooby-Doo movie.
Starting to sound like.
Oh, I'm totally Thelma. Like I cannot see without anything on.
Starting to shrink like a castrato up there.
All right.
It reminds me of that scene from A Bit in Fry and Laurie where they're talking about jazzercise. And says, you see, it's a very clever meshing of the word jazz with the word circumcise. All right.
On that wonderful note, I'm going to cut over to mine.
Bit off more than we can chew there.
Tracy, how many eunuchs would you like to give this song?
Well, my eunuchs are going to be very mostly intact.
How are you going to finish that sentence?
Mostly intact eunuchs.
Tracy, how do you like your eunuchs?
I definitely like the original version of the song much more than the demo.
Yes.
I couldn't listen to this song often because of the kids in the car, and they will pick up on the not so subtle messages.
What did he mean by "if I had a gun"?
It's a good point. Yeah, right.
What's a eunuch?
I would listen to this song much more often if I weren't in the car with kids so much, and I know this song definitively. And if it were offered, this would be a karaoke song for me every single time. It is a weird place on the album, but it's a really amazing song. Would it be on my island playlist? No, but really, 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 really close. It's definitely on my not kid-friendly playlist for when the kids are not in the car. And it's a song that I can listen to repeatedly and it never gets old. I was struggling. It's not a 5, but it's so close. So I'm giving this a 4.8 eunuchs.
And once again, Stunt comes out swinging.
Yeah. No surprise there.
And so this is one of the songs that Stephen has covered in the Live from Home concert. Matter of fact, it was his first concert that he did. And it's also the first time, according to that concert, what he said, that he's ever played it since he left BNL. So, you know, he loves this song, but at the same time, I think it has a certain affinity for him. There is a video out there, guys, of I don't know what program they used, but they used a computer program of some sort, and sort of Sim City-like. And the video is kind of interesting because it does take that gay, like I'm gay and I'm in love with someone who is heterosexual.
Right.
And it takes that vibe and does a whole video.
I do like that theory for the song. That was never the one I gravitated towards, but having heard it, I really do like that theory. Like, it is a gay man who is in love with another man who's straight, and it makes sense for the lyrics.
Yeah, I mean, it works, except for that one line where he's like, if I were more you, then you would notice me. But I do think that's a really cool interpretation. And so this video that I'll put up on our liner notes is really kind of a fun one to, well, not fun, interesting one to watch. So... I also am going to put in our liner notes Stephen playing it at Borders by himself. So when he said he hasn't played it again since he left the band, that's not true. There is a video of him playing at Borders by himself. But that's not the major one that I want to put out there this week. Those are just like little extras I want you to look at. For the appearance from me this week, there is a recording from 1993 in Toronto of BNL doing a cover of "Say You, Say Me" by Lionel Richie.
Oh wow!
They have it. They have it in there. This wasn't a regular cover of theirs, but it's really cool to listen to this. I was like, oh my goodness, like something I've never heard before. Is it the best cover in the world? No, but it's different and it's interesting. And I kind of wish they had made it more of a regular at their live shows.
Nice.
Yeah. And I've been to a lot of their shows, and I love going to their shows. I really do. It's a lot of fun. They're a breakout band. They really put on an amazing live performance. If I could, I would see every single one of these shows live. I would tour. I would follow them if I were able to. But in order to do that, I'd have to have $1 million.
Oh,
wow!
Nobody's gonna know next week's song.
What a tortured, long, twisting, circuitous route we took to that one.
Yeah.
And you know what's even sadder is I have one all written for our guest that what we're supposed to have tonight, and he's not here. So I'm like, I got to come up with something.
Wow, that was off the top of your dome.
Yeah, that was off the top of my dome.
Respect, props, BIG.
I didn't even think about that in the rotation. It's just so weird that we've done so many songs and some of them that are obscure that we're actually doing that song.
Yeah. We're hitting it next week.
All right.
That's a big one.
Yeah.
It is.
Knocking a big one off the list.
So if you have listened to the show, no, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to put it out there later on. I'm going to just put something else out there, but, all right, but so come back next week, and so Aaron, we're going to discuss next week, and Jeff, what you would do if you had $1 million.
Okay.
I would invest in securities.
No, don't give it away now. Save your answer.
Bitcoin.
Bitcoin.
Yeah.
I'd build a time machine and invest the remaining money in Bitcoin when it was like $5 a Bitcoin.
That's right.
Yeah, we're going to need you to save your answer for next week. Okay.
That'd
be great.
Yeah.
So, thank you for joining us. That was fun.
That was fun. Have a good night, everyone.
So, Stefan, we didn't have you on the podcast this week, and so I'm interested in hearing your opinions of "I'll Be That Girl."
I would be your girl at any time, and thank you for asking. By the way, I'm very flattered. Very flattered. I might take you up on it. I have to contemplate it a little bit longer. Give me a few weeks. I've got a lot of stuff going on in my life, and I've got another person that I might have to blow off. So, but thank you for asking, and I will respond. Okay, on the serious note, "I'll Be That Girl" by Bare Naked Ladies. I am pleasantly surprised with the intro, how it introduces into the song. A nice musical intro, and then it gets right into the meat of the song. And I'm like, oh, this sounds great. Great sounds. Stephen has a great voice, and I really like how he melodizes or whatever the word is. I can't say it. Like, there's another word I can't even say. I'll remember it later. But it was great. The melody is fantastic. The sound is perfect with things, and then there's that I don't know if it's a horn or it's like a keyboard. I don't know what accordion. The accordion of all
Accordion.
things is like kind of are you sure these guys are from Canada and not from like the Upper Peninsula of Michigan? It's like, but I mean, the accordion is characteristic, but it's perfect for this song. He melodizes with that perfectly, and I thought
It really does fit his voice really well.
oh, absolutely. I thought it was great, and the music was great. How he was singing was fantastic, and then I started listening to the lyrics, and I'm like, oh my gosh! It was like, I want to go and buy some pantyhose right now and just hang myself. I was so depressing in a way. Like, this guy's talking about not even living until tomorrow. It's like, but I understand that that point of view because I'm going through a tough time, and I start thinking about my own self-worth, and sometimes it's a fight. It's a fight to really look into the mirror and tell yourself that you love yourself. Sometimes it's a fight to see worth within yourself, and it's understandable that times there would be moments where you're like, my gosh, is like, this is where I'm at in my life, and it's not like a plea for help. It's an expression of just how you're feeling, and that's healthy to be able to express how you're feeling in a way that's not self-harming, but saying I'm thinking of these thoughts. I may or may not act upon them. If I do, then it does. If I don't, then I have to find a way to overcome some of this grief or this pain that I'm feeling. And that's healthy as well. So, but I didn't expect this deep of lyrics within this song. And it is surprised.
Very happy song for such sad and depressing subject.
But that's kind of characteristic of BNL, isn't it? You know, like, well, we don't want people going off and offing themselves to our music because, you know, that's a huge lawsuit. And so what we'll do is we'll put kind of a somewhat upbeat kind of, hey, this is a catchy tune, and then bam, we'll nail it with depression. So that's kind of it's the Canadian way, is it not? So it's great. I love it. It's kind of French based, and isn't Canada a part of that too? Hey, so you can sense some of those roots, like the double-edged sword of great music combined with
dark themes,
you know, and it's good. I mean, he touches on a number of different things. It's time to throw off those chains, addle our brains with madness. And anybody who has suffered with depression, who have suffered with low self-esteem and questionable self-worth, they get this. And that's probably the majority of the population out there, whether they want to admit it or not. That's so true. I mean, you're torn between these different aspects of liking yourself and not liking yourself, and you feel like a Jekyll and Hyde kind of person, and that kind of makes things even worse in a sense. But it's just it's tough because you start thinking of, what is my life really worth? What is in there? So on a flip side of this, it helps you think about generating that sense of purpose, sense of value within the world, something that you can contribute. And that's how I take it. I try to look at it as a half-filled glass rather than a half-empty glass. And I really appreciate being able to listen to this song, and with the happy, optimistic, upbeat aspect of this, with the hard, realistic.
That's wow. Great insight there, sir.
That's all you have to say about my stuff. Is wow. Yeah, that's fine. That's absolutely fine. I mean, that's how I view it. I mean, I'm going through things like that myself. And
well, I don't want to repeat a lot of the other stuff that I said earlier.
Oh, that's true too. Wow, that's good stuff. That's I'm sure you didn't say that to the other guys. Thanks, Tracy. But no, yeah, that's my take on it. And yeah, I really like the song. Gosh, it's like, so far I'm really liking the eyes in this Bare Naked ABCs, because they're poignant, they're down to earth, they're vulnerable, and God, by golly, they're relatable for me.
Mm-hmm.
Anyways,
so 0 to 5, what do you give this song?
Holy gosh, what do I rate this song? It's got moments of like just great melody, great beats, and the lyrics and the music and the singing goes hand in hand with whatever music that they created, and it's fantastic. So I would say out of 5, I would rank this a 4.6. I really liked it. I would put it on my playlist. I would keep the guns far away from me and any pantyhose for any that matter, except for when I wear them on the weekends. And then, yeah, so 4.6 for me.
Well, you came up with the exact average that we did as a total group.
Really? That's awesome. That's awesome. I really like the song. I really do.
Yeah.
Makes me want to go out and buy Stunt right now. Really? Well, I think it's worth it. And the more I listen to the songs from this album, the more I'm really liking it. And for all those listeners out there who are just joining in, Stunt, according to Tracy, is an awesome album to get. And from me, who's just getting into this whole Stunt thing, because I am a hardcore Gordon fan. Yes, Gordon or bust. I'm starting to convert. So for those of you guys out there, contemplate, downloading it or buying it in CD, which is kind of the old school, old person kind of way. That's the way I do it, because I've got a portable, joggable CD player in my truck that I kind of throw in my CDs and jam to. If that's your style, go and buy the CD. I'm not plugging anything for B&L, but I'm just saying, those are my thoughts on what I might do. You're free to do whatever you want. So enjoy, and please stay away from pantyhose and guns. How did I turn this into a public service announcement?
To celebrate joining Pantheon Podcasts, Rock Camp, the podcast, the official podcast of Rock and Roll Fantasy Camp, is giving away a guitar signed by Mike Portnoy of Dream Theater, Marty Friedman, formerly of Megadeth, and legendary shredder Zakk Wylde, plus our rockstar counselors like Vinny Appice, Monty Pittman, and more. To enter to win, simply follow, rate, and review our podcast on your preferred platform, and that's all you have to do. For more information, go to rockcamp.com/podcast.